specifics. We've had a number of the centers help us with our aerodynamics work, some testing as well. They helped us develop the PICA, the material, phenolic impregnated carbon ablator material that we have for our heat shield. They've been helpful in many of the other development areas on the Dragon spacecraft itself.
Okay, we're looking now at some video of what's been going on to get the Falcon 9 and the Dragon ready for launch. So if you could kind of talk us through the video and tell us what it is we're seeing.
So what you're seeing right here is the first stage approaching the hangar at our launch facility, Launch Complex 40. That arrived from our Texas test site where it was proof tested. Prior to being in Texas, it was obviously produced in our Los Angeles facility. And there you see it. And here is the Dragon arriving. Coming into the hangar in the clean room there. That's it there in the silver box. Pulling off the container that protects it during the ride. We double shrink wrap it, make sure it stays dry. So we're obviously moving it from its transport fixture onto its processing plate in the hangar. So this is in a separate part of the hangar from the Falcon 9 that's suited for to handle hypergalls. Because Dragon, the fuels are NTO and MMH. So it has a special handling area. And then you see the fixturing there on the right. Dragon's going to be lifted up and over that onto what we call the trunk. So the capsule itself is pressurized. That berths with the station and the hatch opens. And then the supplies that go into the space station are pulled from inside the capsule. The trunk is unpressurized, has a view to space. See, we're lowering Dragon down on the trunk right now. See, the trunk is that white structure below Dragon. There you see it. So unpressurized cargo would go in there, something on a what's called a FRAM, a NASA-developed flight releasable attach mechanism. There is no external cargo on this flight, just pressurized cargo. There we go. You're taking a look at the second stage on your left and the inner stage right in the middle. There's Dragon. So we'll lift you see we're lifting the structure there, and then it will rotate to horizontal and then be mated to the second stage. You see they're lining it up there. It's got to be precise. This operation takes almost a whole day. So this rollout is for our wet dress rehearsal and static fire this past April. As you can see, we roll out in the horizontal position. We do not process our vehicle vertical. So slowly we move towards the pad, and then as we rotate to vertical, the fluid lines get engaged automatically. And then there are some hand connections as well. So that structure that you see the vehicle on, we call that the erector. And then the launch base itself. is that large gray structure on the back end. See those giant towers? They're actually much taller than the vehicle itself. Those are lightning towers of critical importance here at Cape Canaveral. This operation that we're looking at right here is for a static fire, which is the final, there we go, the final systems test in prep for launch. Very much like a pilot runs its engines to test how things are operating. We want to run that final test before we launch.
Well, Gwen, after we launched today, where will you watch the rendezvous and berthing operations from?
I'll be at our headquarters in Hawthorne for that.
In Hawthorne. So
yes.
As soon as we launch, then you're headed to the West Coast.
That's correct.
And so then again, that's where you'll watch the splashdown from.
That is correct.
Well, again, thank you very much. It's I know we're looking forward to. Especially the first hour and a half after launch today, there'll be a lot of important things happening with the Dragon that will let us know we're clearly on the way to the rendezvous with the station. Thank you very much for coming by.
Thanks for having me, George.
And we're at T-minus 48 minutes and counting. This is Falcon Launch Control. At T-minus 43 minutes, 17 seconds and counting. This is Falcon Launch Control. NASA's solid rocket booster recovery ship, the Freedom Star, has been repurposed for use on this mission. Onboard cameras that used to track the space shuttle have been installed. They'll be used to capture images of the Dragon capsule and the solar array deployment. We tagged along on its voyage out to sea in preparation for the SpaceX launch, and here's more.
On a sunny spring morning, the crew of the Freedom Star gets ready to head out from the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station.
All lines are in, ready to depart dock. Get on the way for sea.
It's NASA mission, training for the dawn of a new day in space travel, capturing the launch of the first commercial spacecraft going to the International Space Station.
Well, very similar to what you'd see in front of your high-definition television set at home. We're looking at getting very high spatial resolution, high-definition quality visual imaging during the launch, as well as high spatial resolution thermal imaging from an infrared camera.
The Freedom Star, once used to recover shuttle rocket boosters, is now outfitted as a floating high-tech radar and camera platform. Inside a huge metal clamshell is a mobile optical system on a gyroscope-like tracking mount. During launch, the system will be focused skyward to take images of the SpaceX Falcon rocket and its Dragon capsule as far as 200 miles away.
We have several key events that will occur during ascent. So we have one ground station at Daytona Beach, Florida that will capture early events and ascent. And then we have a second tracker that will be located on a ship in the North Atlantic.
That will be the Freedom Star that will capture later parts of the trip, including deployments of the capsule and solar panels. Even with high-powered radar, telescopes, and cameras, and a team that has had success in taking thermal snapshots of the space shuttle at Mach 18, imaging the launch will be no easy task.
It's like standing and looking through a soda straw and trying to capture and see a bird flying through that soda straw.
Then imagine that soda straw bobbing on a boat off the northeastern coast of the U.S. in seas that could swell up to 20 feet. The crew can only hope that the weather at launch and ascent is more like a day at the beach and not the perfect storm.
T-minus 40 minutes.
GC, are you ready for vehicle release setup?
GC is ready.
Copy that. Entering 1 to proceed. Vehicle release final setup is started. CE, prepare for the terminal count poll.
En route.
Copy that. Proceeding.